Hey everybody, good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, Today's Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. This is Ben Capozzi with Broad Shoulders Farm in beautiful Halifax County, Virginia, Zone 7. Wanted to do a quick update video on goings on in the Bantam Run. I've been working in here for a bit and just thought I would share an update. So if you're into that sort of thing, that's what's coming up next. I'll flip the camera around and I'll walk you through what's changing. Good job, Gordon. Chicken Gordon. He's blue. He's a blue Cochin Bantam. All right, so I'm here in the Bantam Run, and I think as far as I can tell, I have not done a video about the Bantam Run since last November, which is terrible. But it's also probably actually reflective of what's been going on over here, which is not much until last week. I finally had some time to come and work on several projects and move things forward. So I spent quite a bit of time in here. In that last video, which I will link to somewhere on your screen, you'll see a link. I was setting up the salad buffet idea along the fence line, which I'm a big fan of productive fence lines, and Sean and Sasha with Edible Acres uploaded a video demonstrating one solution that they'd had where they doubled over chicken wire and then ran it against the fence in these sort of pockets with stakes, and they dumped wood and debris and compost and such behind, and then they sewed it out. They put some netting on top of it, and basically it was a little buffet that their birds that lived in a stable run could enjoy as they would lift up the netting to let them in or grab handfuls and pull them out. I really liked that idea. I thought it was very applicable to what's going on here with the Bantams because they have a stable run. It's just one spot here that's 40 by 40. When I cut down this apple tree last year that had been killed, mostly by chicken activity, unmanaged chicken activity, we saved all of the wood and used it just for places in here to flip over and expose creepy crawlies. But most of it got piled up against the edge of their run. And then we piled tons and tons of compost and mulch and dirt that all these littles in here had produced. And you'll see, yes, some are not bantams, some are standard sized birds like Major there. But anyhow, and we did that for about a season since November, and I was never really happy with it. I didn't like the look of this, even though it's disassembled now. I just wasn't crazy about the look of it, which I know is perhaps sounds ironic given how messy things are. But that doesn't change the fact that I do have a little bit of OCD. So I took it down and I wanted to re-envision it. So I wanted it a bit cleaner. So instead of the chicken wire, I had this slightly nicer wire. And I went back and rewatched Sean's video at Edible Acres on how they did that. And so I battened it down. I had these sections. I didn't change the length of them or anything. They were just pre-existing sections that I had. So I battened them down on two ends, and then I repiled the wood and sticks, and I repiled extra compost and dirt that the Bantams had been making in here. And then I topped it all off with some hay. And then I sowed it out to a cover crop. I think I just grabbed my winter cover crop mix. So it's like oats and daikon and turnip. And then we got rain for the past few days. Some gorgeous, gorgeous, wonderful downpours. So a lot of it has germinated, you can see. So sooner rather than later, I'll have some greens here to start offering these littles. I made another one over here. Same deal. And then I started adding some of the trees that I had wanted to add in here for a long time for these little characters. Over the winter, I'd put in a few that were kind of desperate transplants from our home garden or our home property in town. My wife just insisted that I get rid of them. They needed to come out to the farm, and it wasn't the best circumstances, and several of them just didn't even leaf out. So last week, I took them out, and I left what was doing well, and I added some more. So what we've got over here is a meter persimmon. It's a young persimmon. It's not the tastiest American persimmon variety, but it does have a very long fruit drop. So fruit should ripen from September through November. So that's 3 months of delicious mineral-rich candy for the Bantams coming up. And I dug up some comfrey crowns from the home in town, and I added it there. It'll look rough for a while, but it'll take off. Comfrey really is kind of the honey badger of plants. One of the plants that I put in last year that is still doing really well, probably the only one, is this hazelnut tree. And this is actually one from Mark Shepard's farm that I got by way of a nursery in New York. So it's doing okay. It set up some suckers or multi-branch structure. So I finally came back in, and I did just have stones and stuff protecting the roots, but I did a proper ring around it with enough depth or enough width that even if the littles get their head in there, they still can't get in there and scratch around the roots. This was a Nanking bush cherry that I dug up from the house last fall and put it in here. It still has not leafed out, though if I do a scratch test, it insists that it is very much alive with greenery. So, you know, make of that what you will. It was where the persimmon is, but I just wound up digging it up and transplanting it back here where it's going to get a lot more shade to kind of rest, and it'll get some residual moisture coming in from the leaks in the faucet back there, and it can figure out what exactly it wants to be, what it wants to do. I'm going to move around their feed situation. I'm going to bring in, it's warm enough now, obviously there's no more fear of frost, so I'm going to bring in their closed waterers, like the tower waterers, not these open ones. And I'd like to get all their feeding set up probably against here. I have a black 110 gallon water tank, trough, sorry, that I'm going to bring in here that I'd like to get set up to store water, put a screen over it. And this area looks completely different than from in the last video. I originally tried to set this up as an ICU, but the roof wasn't very good and it just was not good. And what's worse is those walls had started to buckle, to bulge outward. So what I did was I tied it all to the new greenhouse. Sorry, that's new. That's a new thing. I still got to come in and batten it down. When my wife came up to help me one day to do this several months ago, we just stapled it down, but it needs proper battens now. But anyhow, it provided a very heavy structure with the oak base and the cattle panels that are heavy in and of themselves to weigh this down. So now I've tied the corners together, and I'm going to do a two-tiered roof, part that goes that way and then steps down another part that goes this way. But I want to harvest water. I've got some gutters that wound up not being used at the house, and I'm going to run one over to here and have it dump into the water tank. And I started thinking a lot about collecting water over the winter, and then just a few weeks ago we had a storm in our area that actually knocked out the power at the farm off and on for a couple days, and I didn't have water, and I don't have backup water, so I had to schlep water. I bought, like, you know, gallons from the store, and it just kind of really exposed a vulnerability that I had been just not really trying to think about. So I'm going to be doing that. I've got a Marseille yellow fig that's going to come in there. That'll provide some additional forage for them. This is an Nanking bush cherry that I did transplant successfully from the house. It was great because I moved this, what's today, Tuesday? I think I moved this on either Saturday or Sunday, and it looked rough, and the chickens really picked it over. But then we had probably 4 thunderstorms over the last 2 or 3 days, and I feel like this is settling in now, and it's going to be okay as long as I keep it well watered. I added some mint and a solo honeyberry bush. And then over here I added mint and a maxi honeyberry bush. They just shipped, and they were pretty dry when they came out of the shipping. They arrived maybe Friday. So you know, they look a little rough, but they're going to come back. The roots were very well developed, so they'll leaf back out. But I'll have those in here for the littles. I've got 2 mulberries over here, 2 very small Girardi mulberries that had been in their pots from the nursery forever. So I just needed to get them in the ground, and hopefully they will leaf out. The roots still look, you know, alive and well. So excuse me, we will see what happens. On the outside, you can't really see it, but I transplanted some hops. I brought them in from the house. I'll let them scale up there, which should be really great. We've got a grapevine going along out here. I transplanted, real quick, a apple tree that I grafted myself. It is you can see that the stick of scion wood is waking up there with the green tip, right in the shade. But there it is, it's coming back. But not coming back, it's waking up for the first time. So I'm excited about that. And the greenhouse, once I finish getting it battened down, I'll come back in with this 12 or 16 inch tall welded wire, 2x4 welded wire. And I'll run a line from there to there and from there to there. So there's just a walkway in here through me. I'll add more straw, more hay that I have to build up some beds in here. I'll clear out the middle path and I'll dump all of that soil onto the beds. And then in here, I can grow some additional crops for me. I can put in some hardy perennials, maybe some herbs, maybe some woody stemmed herbs. We'll see, but I can definitely grow tomatoes for the littles. But basically, this is going to be like a little greenhouse that services the bantams that live in this run. So a lot has been happening. That's what's going on. I'm going to rearrange the feed canisters and all that. Their pallet here is busted, so I'm going to bring in a new pallet. I'm going to put it right there, so it'll be right next to the door when I come in, where I do all the watering and everything. I can come right in, especially when I'm reloading feed. There's a big gate that I can drive around to over on that side, and I can bring the 50-pound bags of feed right in, boom, drop them here. I'm really trying to think about being efficient and streamlining things. And yes, things look messy and things are messy, but I'm feeling really good about things because, especially compared with where I was in years past, I feel like things are just getting better and better every time. And I see the littles being way more active out here and enjoying things. And I think that's only going to get better, which is the mission. That's what I'm trying to do. Improve the quality of their life, improve the quality of my life and my family's life. Hey, buddies. So that's where we are. I highly recommend Bantams. If you don't have them, you totally should. Questions, comments, concerns, helpful critique are always welcome. There are more videos coming up. I've got another day and a half before my wife goes back to work, and then I'll be basically off the farm for another week. So there's plenty more to update you folks on. Wherever you are, whatever you're up to, I hope that you are happy, healthy, and well. Please continue to stay that way. And you can follow the farm at Broad Shoulders Farm on Facebook and Instagram. Take care. Talk to you folks later. Bye-bye.